Well, good afternoon. How is everybody today? This is a loud mic. AI, what a time to be alive, right? It is so good to be here today, surrounded by 45,000 of my closest friends. People who know exactly what it means to defend complex systems in chaos, because that is what we have been doing for decades. And while a lot of the fundamental things that we do have remained constant, the systems we're defending and the speed at which we defend them have changed more in the past 2 years than they have in the previous 20. But today is one of those rare moments when the world moves forward together in a single step. More than 70 countries across every region and every level of economic development have now launched national AI safety and security initiatives. That includes the EU AI Act, Singapore's AI Verify, national AI strategies across the Middle East, and China's generative AI and deepfake regulations. And just last week, the United States launched its own national AI safety and security initiative focused on testing, transparency, and adversarial evaluation. So the message is consistent, and it's global. AI is no longer emerging. It is quickly becoming our next critical infrastructure. And it now sits inside national policy, national risk, and national strategies. And whether we feel like we're ready or not, we are the ones responsible for ensuring that the future is safe, trustworthy, and defensible. Inside business, the acceleration is just as undeniable, and in some ways, even more. Microsoft reports that 85% of the Fortune 500 are already using its AI solutions in production. And surveys from the Big Four echo the same thing. Most CEOs now treat AI as a core business priority. It's not an experiment. It's not innovation theater, but a board-mandated lever directly tied to revenue, efficiency, go-to-market velocity, and profit margin. That is the bottom line. That is what boards care about. That is what CFOs and CEOs are measured on. AI accelerates business, society, and innovation. But we can't think about what's going on in the future until we really talk about the human side of it. A lot of people are nervous. Pew Research finds that a growing share of people believe that AI will do more harm than good if left unchecked. Prosper Insights and Analytics report that nearly 60% of people are very concerned that AI will violate their own privacy. And global polls show about 70% of adults worry about AI's impact on jobs and social stability. These aren't fringe opinions. These are the emotional baselines for a global workforce. So yes, there's skepticism. And yet, adoption keeps accelerating anyway. People are nervous, but they love the benefits. And so for business, that means that pilots turn into programs, programs turn into platforms, and platforms turn into strategy. AI is being embedded everywhere in apps, products, processes, and soon it'll become common for our individual consumer AI agents to talk to each other, interact across organizations and platforms to make life easier and more fun. And for some of us defenders, a lot more interesting and a lot more challenging. So that means that the developers that we work with, they're all in because they have to be. The leaders are nervous, but they're still investing because the market depends on it. It demands it. And employees are being told, use AI anywhere you can for efficiencies, because their performance reviews require it. So we land in a space of cautious optimism, or optimistic caution. And either way, it's real and it's here. And here's the thing, if you're in the caution camp, that's okay. Caution isn't a flaw. It's the defender's instinct. It's who we are. But let me say something else. Caution doesn't stop movement. Caution guides it. Caution shapes it. It turns reckless optimism into responsible acceleration. So why is everything moving so fast? Because it has to. AI isn't being adopted because it's trendy. It's being adopted because organizations simply cannot compete at human speed anymore. The way we do business is being completely re-architected. AI delivers acceleration, efficiency, innovation, capacity, resilience, and direct impact to profit margin in a very material way. That's what boards care about. That's what CFOs care about. That's what CEOs are measured on. Real-world experiments show big improvements in product development time and reductions in complex task time. These are operational levers that the C-suite simply cannot ignore. So AI isn't an accessory anymore, it's the engine of business. And so if some of you still have that tightness in your chest about it, I get it. Because honestly, this moment kind of feels like a roller coaster. Oop, one floor back. There we go. It kind of feels like this. Imagine staring up at one of the largest roller coasters in the world, right? From the ground, it seems like a great idea. There's energy, there's hype, there's a long line of people. But when you finally get all the way to the top, well, that's when you start questioning your own life decisions, okay? At least for me. But you get in anyway, maybe hesitantly, or maybe you're one of these people that jump in the front seat and wave their arms around, ooh, I'm all excited. I am not that person. But either way, it's your turn. There's no backing out. Everybody's looking. So you pull that harness down, and it clicks. And you are grateful for that click. And you think, well, I'm not sure I'm ready, but I'm definitely committed. And before you even finish that thought, you are off. You are along for the ride. There's excitement. There's hesitation. There's a spike of adrenaline, maybe some self-loathing. But through the screaming, there's anticipation, concern, curiosity, and pure acceleration. That is exactly what AI feels like in the enterprise today. And listen, the world isn't just climbing in because they don't want to be left behind. Nobody wants to be left behind. They're climbing in because no one can afford to be left behind. And this is the tension that we live in. It's responsibility at high speed. And this is also where cybersecurity becomes essential, not as the bottleneck, not as the stabilizer, but as the guide, as the Sherpa. We are that click. We don't stop the climb. We make the climb survivable. We make it repeatable. We make it fun. But ultimately, we make it safe. And to do that, we cannot be the land of no. We have to be the land of yes, if. We are the harness that lets business move at speed. We are the click. So what does that mean for security? Well, it means we now have two big jobs. We have to use AI, and we have to defend the AI we use. Models, agents, pipelines, embeddings, fine-tuning data sets, these are now all part of the critical software supply chain. AI is not just a tool, it's a dependency. It's part of the attack surface and a new form of operational risk. And to the C-suite, especially the CFO, who's often accountable for operational risk at the enterprise level, this matters. Models can be poisoned. They can be manipulated, extracted, or coerced. But the most dangerous risks aren't just inside the model. They are in the data decisions around the model. Now, if you know me, you know I'm going to talk about hygiene and data, and I'm nothing if I'm not consistent, although the slides don't suggest that right now. Data hygiene decisions are essential to defense. More data doesn't always give you more insight. Not every model needs access to the entire data lake, especially if it's handling narrow tasks. Ooh, almost fell right off the, what did I tell you, almost fell right off the stage. But more data definitely gives you more attack surface, poisoning routes, more extraction pathways, more regulatory exposure and privacy risk, more instability and more noise, and a huge cloud bill. Good data discipline shrinks the attack surface, and bad data discipline inflates risk dramatically. And this is where defenders shine. When we shape AI well, we reduce what we have to defend. True. But when we design AI deliberately, we reduce fragility, liability, and cost. We stabilize innovation. That means we contribute directly to the bottom line. This is security as a strategy, not security as gatekeeping. Now, as we talked about the P&L and how we contributed that, one of our other challenges, but major opportunities, is to make sure that AI doesn't become a liability. Liabilities equal balance sheet. So here are some areas that security leaders should lean into so that AI doesn't break bad. The first one, strong identity boundaries. Every model and every agent has to have its own identity. No more shared service accounts or inherited trust chains. You need to have scope permissions, auditable actions, and human override so an AI system does not operate unchecked. Vigorous data governance. You need to know where it comes from, how it's shared, and what it turns into. Don't let that stage environment become another prod 2. And we all have to deal with that, right? And there are tools that already do this. Continuous monitoring and drift correction, models drift, prompts drift, policies age in real time. So you need automated systems that are watching for these anomalies and correcting or escalating to you in minutes, not quarters. Secure by default and adversarial testing. AI systems need to ship like critical software. They need secure endpoints, hard integrations, and template-driven deployments. No more rogue science projects into prod. But these guardrails need to be designed to enable velocity. Listen, velocity without guardrails is just chaos, right? But guardrails without velocity are irrelevant. Let's talk about how attackers are using AI. So they know how essential AI is, and they know how essential it is to us. And honestly, they're seeking the same benefits we just talked about. And they're achieving them at breakneck speed. Last year, Microsoft saw 4,000 password attacks per second. This year, it's 7. That is 6 million a day, more than almost double from last year. All while seeing a 5-fold increase in the number of threat actors they track, going from 300 to 1,500 in just 1 year. So the threats are increasing, and the threat actors are realizing real gains across every part of the kill chain. And we're going to walk through just 3 of these parts because of time. Not to admire the problem, though, but to prepare to counter it. First thing is recon. This is like Google it, but at nation-state grade. So attackers are using AI to research everything that they always have, just more completely and more effectively. Some of these searches are niche, but most are depressingly familiar. You know, Intel, org charts, vulns, your infrastructure, your IP, some military systems. Nothing you ever want to see in an adversary's browser history. But is that really new? No. Is the purpose that they're doing it materially different? No. But it is more powerful. It's faster, more organized. It's shockingly complete and utterly relentless. And of course, they're using it to build malware. But here's what's interesting. They're using it to generate the scaffolding of malware, not always the entire malware. But the really annoying, time-consuming parts, like sandbox evasion snippets and VM detection logic, C++ boilerplate, 10 years ago, this was copy and paste from like Stack Overflow. And today, it's copy and paste with autocomplete, at superhuman speed. And of course, they're still asking it to run on a Friday night right before a holiday, because, we all love that. Log4j still hurts my feelings. And then, of course, there's social engineering. And this is where generative AI really shines in the worst possible way. It's like catfishing, but at the enterprise grade. So Google observed that attackers are generating phishing campaigns in perfect local dialects. So remember our guidance to everyone about look out for the spelling errors and the grammar and the out-of-character asks? Well, they've solved that. They have correct honorifics, perfect cultural nuance, and eerily accurate corporate tone. They mimicked colleagues, bosses, community figures, even the very people the targets trust the most, their families. And the last thing that we needed in phishing emails is for them to pass that vibe check, And once a user does click, Microsoft estimates that attackers now only need 72 minutes on average to gain full data access. So that's the goodish news. There aren't really new attack classes being used at scale. There are new things being done, yes. But the majority of the stuff right now is the same old kill chain techniques, but just executed with extraordinary precision, effectiveness, and speed. That means you already know what they're trying to do, and you have a chance to defend it and close that gap. And the way we do that is AI is giving defenders the leverage we've never had before. Let's talk about fuzzing, for example. Think of fuzzing as testing code with a fire hose instead of a squirt gun. So Google reports that using LLMs to generate new fuzzing harnesses has given them double the coverage from 30 to 60% on average. But in one of their studies, that increase was like 7,000%, which directly led to previous unknown vulnerabilities in long-running, heavily tested code. And of course, there's gains in vuln discovery. Google's Big Sleep AI agent, which is from DeepMind and Project Zero, has already found real-world exploitable vulns, including a widely used SQLite flaw, which was not seen in the wild before. What used to require years of specialized reverse engineering expertise can now be augmented by AI agents that can compress that vulnerability hunting cycle from months to just days, with humans firmly in the loop. And of course, malware analysis and incident workflows. I saw this experiment from Gemini, where a full malware analysis report was produced in 27 seconds. And that was for a never-seen-before sample. That would have normally taken hours from a really, really specialized human. When was the last time you wrote anything meaningful in 27 seconds? It takes me longer than that to write "Hi, Mom" in the morning because I'm searching through emojis. 27 seconds, that's less than 1% of an hour. In SOC workflows, we see AI cut incident summary time to roughly in half, compressing hours of log correlation into just seconds. That means triaging phishing at massive scale, recommending containment steps, and summarizing complex investigations to something the C-suite can actually read and care about before their next meeting. This is not science fiction. This is production reality. AI isn't just a threat multiplier, it is a defender multiplier. And of course, we couldn't get away with not talking about agentic AI. It is the new frontier. These are systems that can take action with defined boundaries. They're not hypothetical. Companies are already deploying them. So think about agents that can scan the cloud for drift and automatically fix misconfigurations. They can detect suspicious identity behavior and trigger step-up auth or lockouts, or watch software supply chains and stop risky changes before they get into prod. Think of all the time you get back for that. I get to have a weekend. And under strict guard rules, isolate a host or block a compromised user in seconds. And the key here is the guardrails. This is the future of the SOC, with humans in the insight loop an AI in the speed loop. It doesn't eliminate the analyst, but it can remove the bottlenecks that hold them back. And of course, agentic AI introduces new questions every defender has to ask. What should these agents be allowed to do? What are their identity boundaries? What data can they access, and what should they never touch? What can they generate? Where could it go? All of these things. And if you haven't explored these, or you're still working on them, and we all are, you have a full week of content here to do that, and 45,000 people to discuss it with. This is where trust becomes foundational, and responsible AI becomes our duty. So I'm not going to read all of these to you now, but there are certain survival standards that we have to put in place and areas that we can apply AI now that are working. Right? In order to protect AI, we need to have strong identity boundaries, rigorous data governance, life cycle governance at engineering speed. And of course, we can use AI in all of these areas in the left right now. We already talked about it. These aren't future capabilities. They're present, they're powerful, and they're practical today. So that really brings us to the heart of the talk. We move from defense to advantage. AI isn't just reshaping cybersecurity, it's elevating cybersecurity. And for the first time, AI enables us to reduce toil and alert fatigue in meaningful ways, collapse detection timelines, eliminate whole classes of misconfigs, and modernize legacy processes so that we can stabilize high-velocity innovation. That allows us to become co-architects of business capability. These aren't defensive moves, these are advantage moves. And AI doesn't shrink the role of security, it expands it. We move from no to yes if, from gatekeepers to strategic thinkers. We are that click. So Black Hat isn't just a conference. It's a gathering of the most capable, strategic, and powerful minds anywhere in the world. If anyone can define responsible AI security, it's this community. If anyone can shape architectures, guide boards, advise regulators, or stabilize transformation, it's the people in this room. If anyone can turn nervous acceleration into responsible acceleration, it's us. We are in the right place, at the right time, with the right people. So here's my invitation. Start one conversation that you weren't planning on having this week. Change one assumption that you have been clinging to with your life. Build one connection you didn't expect. Design one guardrail. Automate one workflow. Shape one idea that moves your organization forward to safety. And lock arms with each other to do that. AI will define the next decade of cybersecurity. But the real question isn't whether or not AI will shape us. The real question is, who will shape the AI that shapes the world? And I believe genuinely that together, we will not just adapt to the shift, but we will lead it. We are not here to react to the future. We are here to build it. Thanks for being here with me.